The Minnesota Timberwolves won a huge game tonight in game three, 116 to 104. This game was a lot closer than the box score would indicate. There were multiple lead changes throughout this game. Both teams were going back and forth and taking the lead. And it looked for a period of time that the Lakers were probably going to win this game. The game was close. The refereeing was in their favor. They were getting a lot of bullshit touch fouls and even no calls. No calls is what I define when you're able to foul guys and the refs don't call it on you. So everything was going their way. They were just getting favorable treatment in this game despite being on the road. But typical Laker refs helping them out in that regard. I bring this up to illustrate how impressive this win was for the Timberwolves tonight. They had the refs going against them, and despite that, they were still able to win this game, which shows a lot of mental strength and toughness. So I wanted to give them credit for that. One thing I'll say also about this game, LeBron James, he had to turn back the clock game, in which was the best game of the series. This was like the first game where he didn't look like he was 100 years old. I credit the 2 to 3 days of rest rejuvenating him. That allowed him to go out there and dominate, along with his typical HGH injections. That also helps. But he got 38 points on 13 of 21 shooting, 5 of 9 from 3, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Overall, a great game. I'll give him that. The only negative I would say is down the stretch of the game in the clutch, as they would say. He didn't really do much. He was a non-factor, or like what I like to say, non-motherfucking factor. Can't believe I'm censoring myself on here, but I just had to put that out. Still, despite having that turn back the clock game, the Lakers were not able to take advantage of it, and they lost that game. I think that's huge because it's not guaranteed LeBron will play this well again with the quick turnaround time. I think the next time they play is on Sunday, so there's not much time in between. Let me just check. I want to double check to see when is the next game of this series. Let's see. Yeah, the next game is on Sunday at 3:30. So this is a quick turnaround time, and I think that favors the Timberwolves. The other thing about this game was that Luka Doncic played terrible in this game. He only had 17 points on 6 of 16 shooting, 5 turnovers, and he was clearly frustrated throughout this game on both ends. I remember them saying that he was sick. He was dealing with some illness. I don't know what it was. Maybe he's dealing with the flu. I heard the rumor of food poisoning possibly. But you could tell he was underneath the weather. Just looking at his face, it was all red. So he had some shit going on. But he wasn't a factor in this game. He was terrible. He was putrid. I did like the Timberwolves strategy of attacking him on the defensive end, that whoever was switched on him, they would go at him. Jaden McDaniels would go aggressively off scoring on him, which really surprised me because McDaniels is not really a scorer, but he attacked him in this game whenever Luka was guarding him and exploited his defense. I'm sure Nico Harrison was proud of Jaden McDaniels tonight. I'm sure he's thinking like, see, I told you guys, he's not a good defensive player. He can't even guard a role player. I just had to throw that out there. But yeah, it was a great strategy because they made Luka unplayable on the defensive end. Whoever he was switched on was scoring him. He would either switch on Edwards or McDaniels, and they would take advantage. And I think a few times Julius Randle, he got switched on. So that was great because you want to wear him down on both ends, and you want to tire him out. Because if you attack him on the offensive end, that could affect him when he's on the offensive end to score because he's tired from guarding all those guys. It could take the lift out of your legs. So you want to do that. So you got to give them credit and kudos for going with that strategy. That was something new they applied in this game. Let me see what else that was big for them. Yeah, just on the offensive end, they did a great job of guarding Luka defensively. That defensively their defense against Luka was great, but granted, you could say a lot of it had to do with the food poisoning or illness he has. That's what slowed him down. But they did enough to stop him at the end. One play I thought was really big in the final 2 or 3 minutes. I thought if Luka had scored, it could have maybe turned the game into the Lakers' favor. There was one play underneath the basket in which Julius Randle was switched on him, and Luka did quite a few pump fakes, but Randle didn't fall for it. And I think they forced a turnover after that, or a shot clock violation. It could have been very easy for Julius to commit a dumb foul, but he didn't fall for that trick. So you give him a lot of credit on that. I definitely do. But the three cogs in this game for the Timberwolves was really Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle. I would say Jaden McDaniels had the best game offensively, 13 of 22 from the field, 30 points. He's continued to have a good series offensively. I think game 1, he had 20-some points on 80% shooting. This game, 13 of 22 shooting. I think that's like basically close to 60% if I'm not mistaken. Let me just see if that is. Yeah, it's very close. He shot 59% from the field. If he continues to play like this, then the Timberwolves will win the series. Granted, it's highly unlikely because he's not known for being a scorer. But if he's able to do it 2 more times, then for sure, Timberwolves would have this on lock. But last but not least is the Timberwolves star, Anthony Edwards. I called him out the last game, saying he was front runner. I definitely felt he was, since he didn't step up to the plate in the last game. But this game, I felt he wasn't really playing that well for the first 3 quarters. He was just decent. He wasn't shooting the ball well for the first 3 quarters, but eventually he finished the game on 12 of 26 shooting, which is good. I wouldn't say great, but good for a guard since he shot 46% overall from the field, 5 of 10 from 3, which is 50%. So that made up for his poor shooting at the start of the game. He finished strong at the end, and that allowed him to be efficient. But I felt he was big in the fourth quarter. That was encouraging to see that he asserted himself when it was needed. It really was. There was a moment in the game in the fourth quarter where the score was tied 103 to 103, and it looked like the Lakers were just regaining the momentum, and it felt like the Lakers were going to win this game. The Timberwolves were briefly up by 4 points, and the Lakers just stormed back quickly to tie the game with like 4 minutes and 37 seconds on a run by Luka. What happened afterwards was amazing. The Timberwolves went on a 13-1 run, and that was spurred on by Anthony Edwards. He hit a 3-pointer to put them up 106 to 103, and then after that, they called a timeout. Once the Timberwolves got a defensive stop, come out of the timeout, he was able to drive to the hole, kick it out to Naz Reid for a 3, which put up the Timberwolves by 6 points, 109 to 103. After that sequence, I think Austin Reeves would hit a few free throws. No, he would only hit 1 free throw, and then they would still continue to go on a run. Edwards drove to the hole, got a layup. Score was 111 to 104, and then the Wolves got another defensive stop, courtesy of Anthony Edwards, I believe. No, I think it was, but then they got a stop, and after that, Anthony Edwards hit another step-back shot that put them up 113 to 104, and then the final kiss of death was Anthony Edwards setting up Jaden McDaniels for an open 3, which put the Timberwolves up 116 to 104. And this was an insane run. Essentially, all the points in this run, 13 points, with either Anthony Edwards scoring it or assisting on baskets in the final 4 minutes and some seconds left in this game. He was clutch. That's what you want to see from your franchise player, your superstar, allegedly the guy people want to make the face of the league. So that was great to see. I was happy to see him show up in the clutch, and I hope he brings that energy in the next game, that he's able to show up when it's needed. So I give him an A for improvement, at least in this game. The shooting still needs to get somewhat better, but it was good enough. I want to see better efficiency the next game. Anthony Edwards has vowed to be aggressive coming out in the next game from his post-game interview. So I hope he's figured out some things, like he's saying that he's watched some film. Just go out there and win the next game. Do us all a favor. Put the Lakers in a 3-1 hole so we can just see LeBron go to Cancun for the summer. We just want his summer vacation to start early. So Anthony Edwards, please get us game 4. We need you to get game 4. I believe the Timberwolves have to win game 4 if they're going to win this series. They got to go up 3-1, put the Lakers in that hole. And if they are put in that hole, then they can't come back. But I think game 4 will be a war. And I hope the Lakers don't win, but I believe they'll win. But I'm hoping that Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves prove me wrong. That's all I have to say about this game.